An ancient warship bought for scrap. The engines were never dead. The orbit around the dying star was quiet, almost too quiet. Between the chunks of broken satellites and abandoned stations floated the debris of countless wars. Rusted hulls, shattered engines, and twisted metal made the scrapyard look like the graveyard of the galaxy. For most people, this place was nothing but danger. For Captain Elias Wren, it was opportunity. Elias leaned back in the pilot chair of his small salvage craft, the Intrepid. The ship was old but reliable, a patchwork of human engineering and salvaged alien parts. His eyes scanned the auction board in front of him. There were hundreds of ships listed, some barely worth the metal they were made of. But one ship caught his attention immediately. It was huge, colossal really, dwarfing anything else in the scrapyard. Its hull was pitted with rust, and strange markings ran along the side. The auction listing was simple: Valkyrion free to any taker. Engines dead, hull damaged. Abandoned centuries ago. The description made it sound worthless, but Elias had learned long ago that worthless often meant no one else has the patience to figure it out. He rubbed his chin. The Valkyrian. He had heard stories about it in old human legends. An alien warship, built long before humans even traveled to deep space. Supposedly it could outrun fleets twice its size. Supposedly it had weapons that could vaporize planets. And supposedly it had been abandoned after a terrible war nobody wanted to remember. Most humans and aliens didn't care about old warships. They were dangerous, expensive to repair, and often cursed by history. But Elias saw something different. He saw potential. "Zephyr," he said, turning to a small AI drone that floated near the dashboard. It was a spherical chrome and blue device, hovering on a quiet hum. "Get me the schematics and history on the Valkyrian. I want every detail we can find." The drone's lights blinked. "Retrieving." "It will take several minutes to compile all available data." Elias smiled. Patience had always been his ally. Most people gave up too quickly. He waited. When the drone finally spoke again, its voice was calm, almost reverent. "The ship is unlike anything in current human records. Constructed from unknown alloys, powered by engines that defy conventional theory. Its weapon systems are inactive, hull integrity compromised in multiple locations. Original crew unknown. Records indicate that the ship was abandoned over 3 centuries ago." Elias leaned forward, intrigued.
3 centuries, huh? That's ancient, even by alien standards.
He thought of the possibilities. "But nothing in your report says the engines are completely dead. Am I right?" Zephyr's lights flickered. "The engines emit faint residual energy. It is negligible, but unusual for a ship of this age. It is possible that the engines are dormant rather than destroyed." Elias's heart quickened. Dormant, not dead. That was exactly the kind of opportunity he liked. The auction was about to begin. Elias maneuvered the Intrepid closer to the giant hull of the Valkyrion, which towered above the scrapyard like a sleeping giant. Other bidders were gathering. A few alien collectors with sharp claws and sharper attitudes whispered to each other. They didn't even bother examining the listing. Their experience told them the ship was worthless. Elias smirked. They had no idea. The auction began. The bids started low. A few minor scrap haulers tried for a laugh, offering fuel credits and spare parts. The alien collectors sneered. The humans whispered among themselves, too cautious to even bid. Elias waited until the last moment. Then he pressed the button. "I'll take it," he said. The auctioneer, an old rust-covered AI with a voice like grinding gears, paused. "Are you certain?" "Certain," Elias replied. "I'll tow it myself. No tricks, no extra credits. Just the ship."
The AI beeped and accepted the bid.
The Valkyrian was his. As his crew helped attach the massive tow cables, Elias stared at the ship. It was silent, still, and immense. Its dark hull reflected the dying light of the star, giving it an almost ghostly glow. He felt a shiver run down his spine. This was no ordinary salvage. He could sense it, even before he touched the engines, that the ship was alive in some way. "Crazy, isn't it?" his first mate Mara said, standing beside him. She was human, with short hair and sharp eyes. "It's just a hunk of old metal. You really think it's worth it?" Elias smiled faintly. "It's never just metal, Mara. Not if you know how to listen. Ships like this, they remember. And maybe, just maybe, they recognize who's standing on the deck." Mara raised an eyebrow but said nothing. She had worked with Elias long enough to know arguing was pointless. As the Intrepid began towing the massive warship, the crew noticed something strange. The ship's hull, despite centuries of neglect, seemed to resonate with a low hum. Not mechanical. Almost alive. "Did you hear that?" whispered one of the crew. "It's probably just the engine settling," Mara replied. But even she seemed uneasy. Elias stood on the bridge, hands gripping the railing. "No," he said quietly. "That's something else. That's the heartbeat of a giant sleeping under the stars, and we're going to wake it." The journey back to their repair station was long. The Valkyrian was massive, and even at low speed it dragged the Intrepid through the void like a stone in water. Elias spent hours in the engine room, checking the tow systems, monitoring vibrations, and watching the energy readings from Zephyr. The hum grew stronger at times, almost responding to his touch on the controls. Lights flickered along the hull. At one point, a panel on the side of the ship opened on its own, revealing a dark chamber. Inside, Dialis thought he saw movement, a shadow, subtle but unmistakable. He frowned. "Zephyr, are you detecting anything alive inside?" The drone scanned the ship in every possible spectrum. No biological life detected. Yet the energy signatures, they are inconsistent with mere decay. The ship may be sentient in some form. Elias's lips curled into a small, incredulous smile. "Sentient! Just what I was hoping for." Night fell across the orbital scrapyard, casting long shadows over the abandoned fleets. The Intrepid and the Valkyrian floated in the dim light, silent witnesses to centuries of forgotten history. Elias walked along the hull, his hand brushing against the cold alien metal. It vibrated faintly under his touch, almost like a response. "Don't let anyone tell you this is impossible," he whispered to the ship. "I know you're not dead. I know you're waiting." The crew laughed nervously, but Elias's words seemed to hang in the air. He could feel it. The ship's engines, though silent, were alive. The hum of potential energy thrummed beneath their feet. The ship was not just scrap. It was a sleeping giant, and they were the ones holding the key to its awakening. As the Valkyrian drifted through the empty expanse, Elias felt a thrill he had not felt in years. This was the moment of discovery, the kind every human dreamed of. He had bought a piece of legend for nothing, and now he would prove that legends never truly die. They only wait for the right hands to awaken them. And somewhere deep inside the hull, deep in the engine core that had not roared for centuries, the first sparks of life stirred. The engines were never dead. The Valkyrian was enormous. Its hull stretched farther than the Intrepid's sensors could fully map, and every step on its deck echoed as though the ship itself were listening. Captain Elias Wren had expected alien technology to be complex, but walking inside the ancient warship was like stepping into a living puzzle. Panels and corridors twisted in ways that made the ship feel alive, almost breathing. "Zephyr, status report," Elias ordered, his boots clanging against the steel floor. The drone floated beside him, its small lights flickering like distant stars. "The hull integrity is stable for exploration, but multiple sections are damaged. Energy readings are faint but present. Engine core exhibits low-level activity, suggesting latent power." Elias's grin widened. Latent power. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. They moved deeper into the ship.
Mara, Elias's first mate, led the crew through the main corridor, flashlight beams cutting across walls etched with alien symbols. The markings were strange, flowing like liquid metal frozen mid-motion.
No human had walked these halls in centuries, yet the corridors felt purposeful, almost welcoming, as if the ship itself guided them. "This place is huge. One of the crew members, Jax, whispered. Been on alien ships before, but nothing like this. Pay attention, Elias said. Size isn't the only thing we need to worry about. Every ship has traps, especially ones built for war. They reached the engine room, a vast chamber that made the Intrepid's engine bay look like a closet. Massive conduits snaked across the walls, glowing faintly with energy that had been dormant for centuries. At the far end, the engine core was a massive sphere of strange alloys, covered in alien markings and faintly pulsing with light. Elias approached carefully. Look at that, he murmured. It's beautiful, Mara frowned. Beautiful? It looks dangerous. I wouldn't touch it if I were you. That's the point, Elias replied. Dangerous is exactly what we're looking for. He pulled out a diagnostic device and aimed it at the core. Numbers and symbols scrolled across the screen, changing too quickly for anyone to read in full. Zephyr hovered closer, scanning simultaneously. I've never seen anything like this, the drone said. The engine core contains a complex energy matrix. Traditional startup protocols will not work. Manual interface is required. Human intuition may be more effective than alien systems in this case.
Elias's heart raced. Human intuition.
That's why we're here. The crew watched nervously as Elias began carefully probing the interface panels. Every movement had to be precise. One wrong touch could trigger defensive systems, or worse, permanently damage the core. The symbols on the panel seemed to react to his hands, glowing brighter as if acknowledging his presence. Suddenly, an alarm blared. Red lights flashed across the room. Panels shifted, revealing automated defense turrets embedded in the walls. Automated defense system activated, Zephyr announced calmly. They are targeting unrecognized personnel. The crew froze, Mara whispered. I told you it was dangerous. Elias didn't flinch. No panic. This is exactly what I expected. Let's make them see who's in charge. He analyzed the turrets. They followed strict targeting patterns, firing in predictable sequences. Using his knowledge of human engineering and spatial reasoning, he guided the crew to move in perfect synchrony. Jax ran across the room, drawing fire while Mara disabled the control panel. The turrets paused, confused by the unexpected maneuvers. Elias reached the core interface again, careful not to look at the blinking red lights. He placed his hands on the glowing panel. Almost immediately, the hum of the ship deepened, vibrating through the floor. The turrets powered down, as though recognizing him as the rightful master of the ship. The crew stared in awe. Even Zephyr seemed impressed. Recognition protocols engaged, the drone said. The ship is responding positively to human presence. Elias smiled. I told you, it knows us. Hours passed as they explored the engine core systems. The energy readings fluctuated, weak but steady. Elias began to carefully manipulate the alien interface, guided by instinct and the subtle cues of the ship itself. Every touch, every command, had to be perfectly timed. The hum grew louder, the vibration stronger, and the crew felt a strange warmth spreading through the room, as if the ship were waking from a long sleep. Suddenly the core emitted a soft pulse of blue light running along the conduits. The entire chamber thrummed with energy. Panels flickered, displaying holographic schematics of the ship's engine and power flow. The engines were not dead, they were dormant, waiting for someone who could understand them. Elias's hand shook with excitement. It's alive, he whispered. The engines, they're alive. Mara approached cautiously. What do you mean, alive? It's a machine. Elias laughed softly. Machines aren't alive, not like this. This ship, it reacts, it learns, it trusts, it knows where the crew it's been waiting for. Zephyr scanned the room. Data indicates adaptive responsiveness. The ship's systems adjust to the crew's input. The engines may reach full functionality if human operators continue interaction and maintenance. Jax shook his head. This is insane. A ship this old? It should be nothing but scrap, and yet...
He gestured to the glowing engine.
It's like it's breathing. Elias nodded. Exactly. And we're going to see just how far it can go. They spent the next several hours running tests. Small power conduits ignited, lights in the corridors blinked on and off, and the hum of the engines grew steadily louder. Every time the crew adjusted a panel, the ship responded, almost like a giant animal learning to trust its new caretakers. Finally, after what felt like days compressed into a few intense hours, the engine room was quiet again. The hum had stabilized at a low but steady frequency, a heartbeat of potential energy waiting to be unleashed. Elias stood in the center of the room, exhausted but exhilarated. We've done it. We've awakened part of it. But this is just the beginning. We need to explore the rest of the ship. There's so much more to understand. Mara crossed her arms. And you think we can control it? Even after all this? Elias smiled. Control isn't the right word. Partnership. That's what this ship needs. And I have a feeling it's going to do things for us that no human or machine ever could alone. Zephyr floated above the engine core. Preliminary analysis suggests full activation may take several more cycles of interaction. The ship is responsive but cautious. Your efforts so far have earned its trust, Captain. Elias ran his hand along the glowing conduits. Then let's earn more. As the crew left the engine room, exploring the vast corridors of the Valkyrian, they began to notice strange details. Alien murals depicted star systems and battles long forgotten. Holographic maps of other galaxies flickered weakly in hidden compartments. Even the ship's gravity seemed to adjust slightly as they moved, easing their steps and guiding them toward points of interest. Jax paused in front of a wall panel. Do you see this? It's like it wants us to find something. Elias approached. The panel shifted under his touch, revealing a smaller chamber filled with alien controls and what appeared to be a navigation console. The markings on the console pulsed faintly, synchronizing with the hum of the engines. This ship isn't just a warship, Elias said, awe in his voice. It's a navigator. It remembers the routes of 1,000 star systems. If we can read it, we might be able to go places no human has ever been. Mara shook her head, still wary. Or it might lead us into danger we can't even imagine. Elias chuckled. Danger is part of discovery. That's how humans became explorers in the first place. They spent hours experimenting with the navigation system, watching as holographic star maps unfolded above the console. The Valkyrian seemed to respond to their inputs, lights tracing paths along corridors and showing potential routes. Every adjustment was met with subtle vibrations from the engines, a silent acknowledgement that the ship was listening and learning. By the time they returned to the bridge, the crew was exhausted but exhilarated. The Valkyrian was no longer just a relic of the past. It was a living testament to alien engineering, awakened by human persistence and ingenuity. Elias stood at the center of the bridge, looking out at the stars. The ship's hum resonated through his chest, a constant reminder that they had only scratched the surface of what was possible. This is just the beginning, he said quietly. We've awakened the giant. Now we see what it can do. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly and the Valkyrian waited, engines humming softly, ready for the humans who had dared to believe in its potential. The sleeping giant had stirred, and soon the galaxy would notice. The Valkyrian had awakened, but it was still a mystery. Captain Elias Wren paced across the bridge, watching the stars streak by as the ship floated through the quiet emptiness of space. The hum of the engines was no longer faint. It resonated like a living heartbeat, steady and confident. Every crew member felt it deep in their chest, a constant reminder that they were not on an ordinary ship. Status report, Elias said, his voice steady. Zephyr floated beside him, scanning the ship's systems. Engines operational at 30% capacity. Weapons systems offline for safety. Hull stability improving under human-directed maintenance. All critical systems responsive to manual inputs. Elias nodded. 30% wasn't enough to outrun a modern patrol ship, but it was enough to begin testing. Mara leaned against the railing, arms crossed. So, what's the plan? You want to take it for a joyride? Elias smirked. Something like that. We're going to push the ship, see what it can do. I want to know if the legends are true. The crew prepared for a test run. The Intrepid had stayed behind, leaving them alone in the vast expanse with the massive warship. Jax, ever eager, ran diagnostics with Zephyr. Lights flickered across panels as systems powered up one by one. The navigation console displayed a ghost map of nearby sectors, routes long forgotten by humans. Elias guided the ship slowly, careful not to stress the engines. The first acceleration was gentle. The hum of the engines grew louder, almost purring, as if the ship were enjoying the movement. Every curve of the hull seemed to align perfectly with the stars outside. "Feels alive," Jax whispered, awe in his voice. "It is," Elias said, "and it's learning how we want it to move." As they traveled through an uncharted sector, Zephyr scans picked up a signal, a pirate convoy moving through the asteroid belt nearby. They were small ships, fast but poorly coordinated, preying on unprotected transport vessels. Mara's eyes narrowed. "You planning to run into them? We barely know what this ship can do." Elias's smile was calm. "We'll see if it wants to fight. Sometimes you don't find glory by hiding." The convoy detected the Valkyrian almost immediately. They laughed at the massive, rusty ship floating in the void, thinking it was a harmless relic. Their comms crackled. "Scrapship detected. Easy target. Let's take it apart and sell the metal." Elias's hands tightened on the controls. This is where the fun begins. The pirates approached, their weapons primed. The Valkyrian responded instantly. Panels along the hull shifted, revealing energy emitters and shields that had been dormant for centuries. The ship moved with astonishing precision, faster and more agile than anyone expected from a vessel of its size. "Did it just move on its own?" Mara asked, eyes wide. "No," Elias said, laughing. "It's listening. It trusts us enough to fight when we need it." The pirates fired, but the Valkyrian dodged and countered. The shields absorbed the blasts effortlessly, redirecting energy to the engines. The massive ship performed maneuvers that seemed impossible, weaving through the asteroids with grace. The pirates scrambled, unable to keep up. Elias gave simple commands, but the ship anticipated his intentions, reacting faster than any human or AI could. Each movement was precise, a combination of instinct and ancient design. The pirates tried to flee, but the Valkyrian cornered them with ease. Jax watched the displays, speechless. "It's perfect. It's like the ship knows exactly what to do." Mara shook her head in disbelief. "I've never seen anything like this, not even in the simulations." The battle was brief but decisive. The pirates surrendered, awed and terrified by the ancient warship's power. Elias and his crew restrained them, broadcasting a warning to the sector. Humans were no longer the weak prey. After the encounter, the crew gathered on the bridge. Silence fell for a moment, each person absorbing the reality of what they had just witnessed. The Valkyrian hummed beneath them, steady and alive, as if proud of its first test in centuries. Elias broke the silence. "You see that? That's what humans can do. When we refuse to give up, when we combine courage with skill, nothing can stop us." Mara nodded slowly.
"I guess you were right. It does recognize us."
"But this isn't just about fighting. What else can it do?" Elias's eyes shone with excitement. "Everything. We just have to explore." That ship remembers centuries of navigation, technology, and strategy. If we learn from it, we can go places no one else has dreamed of. They spent the next several days testing systems, exploring hidden chambers, and activating parts of the ship that had remained dormant for centuries. Each discovery brought new awe. Storage rooms filled with preserved alien supplies, weaponry far beyond human engineering, and data archives containing maps of star systems long forgotten. The crew learned to communicate with the ship almost instinctively. Simple gestures, subtle commands, and even body language seemed to influence the Valkyrians' responses. It was as if the ship was alive and had chosen them as its caretakers. Elias found a chamber with a navigation console more advanced than any human star chart. As he traced his fingers over the controls, the ship hummed in recognition. Light patterns illuminated the room, forming holographic paths through uncharted regions. The Valkyrian wasn't just a warship, it was a vessel of discovery. "Look at this," Elias said, pointing to the holographic display. "These routes, they lead to systems no one has visited in centuries. Planets, moons, maybe even colonies. And we get to go there first."
Mara leaned in, her skepticism fading.
This could change everything. Humanity could finally explore beyond the limits we've imagined. Jax's excitement was barely containable. "And if we run into trouble, this ship will protect us." Elias nodded. "Exactly. But we can't be reckless. We need to respect it, learn from it, and work together." That's how humans became the species capable of taming the impossible. The Valkyrian responded to his words with a subtle pulse, as if acknowledging their understanding. Elias could feel it through the floor, through the walls, through the air itself. The ship was alive, and it trusted them. The real test came when they attempted a high-speed jump through a nearby asteroid field. The ship's engines, though ancient, responded perfectly. It weaved through the rocks with precision, shields flickering at just the right moments. The crew held their breath as the Valkyrian accelerated beyond anything they had imagined possible. When they emerged from the other side, the stars stretched like ribbons across space, and the crew erupted in cheers. The ship had performed flawlessly. Elias smiled, looking at his exhausted but exhilarated crew. "We've only scratched the surface. This is just the beginning of what we can do together. The galaxy has forgotten legends like this, but not anymore." Mara put a hand on his shoulder. "And the galaxy will notice us now. They'll know humans can handle things no one else dares to touch." Elias looked out at the endless void, feeling the hum of the engines resonate through him. Let them notice. Let them come. The Valkyrian and humans were unstoppable together. The stars ahead seemed to stretch endlessly, promising adventures, discoveries, and challenges that no one had faced in centuries. The ship, once abandoned and forgotten, had rediscovered its purpose, and humanity as its new crew had proven that courage, ingenuity, and persistence could awaken even the oldest of legends. The Valkyrian glowed softly, its engines humming a steady, powerful rhythm. It had waited for the right crew, and it had found them. Elias turned to his team. "Prepare for our next journey. We're going farther than anyone has gone before. The galaxy is waiting, and somewhere deep in the ship's core, the engines, silent for centuries, roared to life, ready to carry humans into the unknown." The galaxy had not seen a ship like the Valkyrian in centuries. Its hull gleamed under distant stars, its engines pulsing with life, and its massive frame moved with the grace of a predator long awakened from slumber. For Captain Elias Wren and his crew, it was more than a warship. It was a partner, a protector, and a key to humanity's place among the stars. News of the Valkyrian spread quickly. Traders, explorers, and even distant colonies whispered of a human crew controlling a warship from legends. Some were curious, others fearful. Military fleets that had long dismissed humans as small players in the galaxy now watched with unease. Elias stood on the bridge, watching a nearby sector map. Pirates, smugglers, and rogue fleets had all been defeated or avoided thanks to the Valkyrian's legendary power. The ship had proven itself in tests, battles, and daring maneuvers that no modern craft could match. "Captain," Zephyr said, floating beside him. "Sensors detect distress signals from a colony near the edge of the Epsilon sector. Pirates have blockaded the planet, preventing essential supplies from arriving." Elias's eyes narrowed. "Let's remind them who controls the skies. Prepare the ship." Mara and the crew worked quickly. The Valkyrian systems were complex, but after weeks of learning they moved with almost instinctive coordination. Panels shifted, shields flared, and engines hummed in anticipation. The ship seemed to sense their purpose, ready to act with precision. As they approached the colony, the pirates noticed immediately. Their comms buzzed with alarm. Scrap ship detected. That human thinks it can stop us? One voice sneered. Elias smiled. Not scrap. Legend. The pirates opened fire, confident that a centuries-old ship could not challenge them. But the Valkyrian moved with astonishing speed. Shields flared, energy pulses deflected the blasts, and the ship's massive frame weaved through space like a living entity. The pirates' formations collapsed under pressure, unable to predict the ship's next move.
Elias guided the crew with simple commands.
Left flank, focus energy to shields. The ship responded instantly. Energy flowed through conduits, weapons systems powered up, and the pirates found themselves outmatched by a vessel they had dismissed as junk. Mara leaned over the console, eyes wide. It's like it knows exactly what we need. No one could plan this. Only the ship could react this fast. Jax laughed. I told you. Humans and this ship were unstoppable together. The pirates attempted one last desperate maneuver, trying to ram the Valkyrian. The ship anticipated it, adjusting shields and deflecting their course with a controlled energy pulse that sent the attackers spinning harmlessly into the void. Within minutes, the pirates surrendered. The colony, watching from orbit, erupted in cheers. For the first time, they saw humans not as weak or insignificant, but as champions capable of extraordinary feats. Elias addressed the colony over comms. You are safe. The Valkyrian and its crew are here to help. No one will harm you while we are in this sector. The colony leader's voice trembled with gratitude. We didn't think anyone could save us. Thank you, humans. You are our protectors. Elias looked at his crew. See? This is why we do what we do. Humanity isn't just clever with machines. We are brave, adaptable, and relentless. The galaxy should remember that. The Valkyrian's engines pulsed, almost as if in agreement. The ship had found purpose again, not just in its own revival, but in the triumphs of the humans who had awakened it. Over the next weeks, the crew undertook missions across the galaxy. They delivered supplies to stranded colonies, rescued explorers from dangerous sectors, and even mapped uncharted star systems using the ship's ancient navigation archives. Everywhere they went, humans and aliens alike marveled at what a single human crew could achieve with a vessel of unimaginable power. Elias realized something profound. The Valkyrian wasn't just a warship. It was proof of human potential. Where technology and raw strength failed, creativity, courage, and persistence prevailed. Humans didn't just survive. They thrived in situations that others considered hopeless. One evening, as the crew gathered in the main hall, Elias stood before them looking at the familiar hum of the ship. We've done more than I imagined, he said. The Valkyrian has chosen us, and in return, we've earned its trust. But there's more ahead. The galaxy is vast, full of danger and opportunity. And together, we are unstoppable. Mara finished, her voice firm. The crew nodded, a silent agreement passing between them. They had awakened a giant, proven themselves in combat, and earned the respect of countless civilizations. But more than that, they had proven something about humans, that persistence, courage, and ingenuity could awaken legends. Elias walked to the bridge's observation deck, looking out at the stars. The Valkyrian's engines glowed softly, humming with latent power that had been dormant for centuries. This ship had waited for the right crew, and now it was ready to travel farther than anyone had dared dream. Zephyr floated near him, lights dimmed in reflection. Captain, humans have exceeded expectations. The Valkyrian has achieved full operational synergy with its crew. Its capabilities are unmatched by any known vessel in the sector. Elias smiled faintly. It's not just the ship, Zephyr. It's humans. Never underestimate what we can do when we refuse to give up. Suddenly a signal arrived, an invitation from the Galactic Council, the ruling body that oversaw multiple sectors. They wanted to meet the crew, to see the legendary human ship firsthand. Some humans might have feared this, but Elias saw it differently. They want to see us? Mara asked. Yes, Elias replied, and they will see what humans can do. Not because we follow rules, but because we create our own path and face challenges head-on. This is our chance to show the galaxy that humanity belongs among the stars. The Valkyrion moved toward the Council's sector, engines glowing brighter than ever. Every member of the crew felt the ship's hum resonate through their bodies, a steady pulse that matched the pride and determination in their hearts. They were no longer just a crew. They were pioneers, champions, and symbols of what humanity could achieve. As they approached the Council, Elias took a deep breath. The stars stretched before them, uncharted territories waiting to be explored. The galaxy had underestimated humans, just as it had underestimated the Valkyrian. Together they had defied expectations, proving that courage, creativity, and teamwork could awaken even the oldest legends. The Council's representatives watched in awe as the massive warship entered their space. Its engines radiated power, and the humans on board moved with confidence and precision. A symbol flashed across the bridge, a signal of recognition. The Valkyrian acknowledged its crew fully, no longer a dormant giant but a living champion. Elias addressed the Council. You see a ship from legend, yes. But it is not the ship alone that matters. It is the humans who have awakened it, who have tamed its power, and who have proven that persistence and ingenuity can surpass technology, fear, and doubt. Humanity is stronger than you realize. A representative, clearly impressed, nodded. This is remarkable. We underestimated humans. But clearly, you have proven your worth. Elias smiled. We didn't just prove worth. We proved that humans never give up, and when we refuse to give up, even forgotten giants awaken. The Council members exchanged glances. Whispers spread throughout the chamber. Humans controlling a legendary alien warship, a symbol of potential and courage. The galaxy would never see humans the same way again. That night, as the Valkyrian floated in orbit, the crew gathered on the observation deck. Stars stretched endlessly before them, full of promise and possibility. The ship hummed softly beneath their feet, engines alive and ready for the next adventure. Elias stood silently, looking out at the void. He felt the ship's heartbeat, steady and strong, a living testament to what humans could achieve. The Valkyrian had waited for them, and together they had restored it to glory. Ready for whatever comes next, he said quietly, mostly to himself. And we will face it together, Mara replied, standing beside him. The crew nodded. The ship pulsed in acknowledgement, a silent promise that it would follow them anywhere. Across the galaxy, humans had found a legend, awakened it, and turned it into a champion, not for war, but for discovery, protection, and the future. The engines had never been dead, and now, with humans at the helm, they would carry hope, courage, and the unstoppable spirit of humanity across the stars. The galaxy would remember.